Everyone and welcome. Today we're diving into an explainer that is literally going to give you chills. We're looking at a dream destination wedding that just descended into absolute horror. We're going to track exactly how a highly anticipated, super romantic milestone twisted into a fatal nightmare. So turn down the lights and pay really close attention to the escalating warning signs that were, tragically, totally ignored.
Okay, imagine this for a second. Imagine hearing, "I will not leave you alive," whispered directly into your ear when you think you are completely 100% alone. Gives you goosebumps, right? Well, that sets the chilling tone for what our couple, Sanvi and Advait, were about to face. This wasn't some vague, creepy feeling in an old house. This was a direct, targeted threat. It completely shatters any illusion of safety right out of the gate, and it's the anchor point for the terror that unfolds.
To really get why this tragedy hits so hard, we kind of have to start with the perfect romantic setup. Picture it, June in Cherrapunji, heavy monsoon rains. The couple had been together for 4 years and were finally taking the plunge. They fly into Guwahati, super excited to take a bus up into the mountains. Now, Cherrapunji in the monsoon is famously gorgeous, but as we're about to see, that intense weather also traps you. It creates this deeply isolating, inescapable environment.
And here's the timeline of terror we're looking at. The bus ride from Guwahati, arrival at the resort, the Mendi ceremony, and the wedding night. What's absolutely terrifying about this haunting is how fast it happens. We aren't dealing with a slow, creeping generational curse here. This entire nightmare unfolds over just a few days.
The slow burn dread kicks off right on that bus. Sanvi notices they aren't alone. Aside from the driver, there's a veiled woman sitting in the very back seat. And guys, here is where the psychological horror really starts creeping in. Every single time Sanvi glances back, this woman starts chanting mantras and flashing this unnatural, incredibly creepy smile. You know that unsettling feeling of being watched? Now imagine being confined in a moving vehicle with that presence.
And this right here is where the true isolating terror begins. The bus pulls over at a roadside dhaba. Advait and the driver step out to stretch their legs. Sanvi nods off, but when she wakes up, that veiled woman is sitting right next to her. The veil drops, revealing a horrifying, half-cut face, and she violently grabs Sanvi's hand. Sanvi's screaming her lungs out, but no sound is coming out. Yet, when Advait comes back, he sees an entirely empty bus. He just sees his fiancée waking up from what looks like a bad dream. Advait is completely grounded in normal reality, while Sanvi is being actively hunted by the supernatural.
So trying to ground herself and stop hyperventilating, Sanvi jams in her earphones. She's hoping to just blast some music and ignore the back of the bus. But the entity isn't bound by physical space. Instead of music, Sanvi hears these strange whispers cutting through the audio, culminating in a horrific, demonic voice delivering this exact line, "Main tumhe zinda nahi chodungi," which translates to, "I will not leave you alive." The sheer terror of this moment is just absolute.
Now, the crucial point here is the real-world consequence of that terror. Sanvi screams, a real scream this time, which totally startles the driver. He loses control and bam, the bus crashes right into a tree. Miraculously, no one is hurt, but when they shake it off and look around, the veiled woman is gone from the inside of the bus. Instead, as Sanvi peers out into the freezing, pouring rain, she sees the woman standing on the edge of a sheer cliff. Only now, she's not just veiled. She's wearing a full, red bridal dress. And it gets so much worse. As Sanvi watches, frozen in fear, the woman's neck violently twists. It spins completely backward like a wheel. Her terrifying eyes lock directly onto Sanvi, and without breaking that impossible, nightmarish eye contact, the entity just throws herself backward off the cliff and into the gorge below. It's a massive flex of supernatural power, and it's designed specifically to break Sanvi's mind. But once again, we hit this incredibly tragic disconnect. They finally make it to the resort, and Sanvi is frantic. She explains everything she just saw. And what does Advait do? He totally dismisses it. He tells her, "You're just experiencing pre-wedding stress." He tries to rationalize the completely irrational. Meanwhile, Sanvi is trapped in a reality where she knows, for an absolute fact, that a terrifying ghost is stalking her. But, she loves him, so she swallows her fear, accepts his logic, and tries to just push through.
The very next day is the Mendi ceremony. The resort is packed with family. There's singing, dancing, joyful celebrations everywhere. For a brief minute, this bright, happy atmosphere gives them all a false sense of security. Sanvi even starts to relax a bit, thinking, okay, maybe Advait was right. Maybe I was just stressed. The nightmare seems like it was left behind on that rainy mountain road.
But nope, the horror comes right back, and this time it's physical. While she's getting her henna applied, Sanvi's hands suddenly feel like they are literally catching on fire. We're not talking about a mild burning sensation. Deep, red, bleeding wounds actually start opening up right underneath the henna. She tries to rip her hand away, but the Mendi artist grips her arm with this undeniable, terrifyingly supernatural strength. This beautiful ceremony literally turns into agonizing physical torture. Desperate to break free, Sanvi looks down at the artist's hands, and then the artist slowly looks up. It is the veiled woman from the bus. The entity has actually infiltrated the inner circle of the wedding. The sheer, overwhelming shock of seeing that mangled face right in front of her, surrounded by her oblivious family, is just too much. Sanvi completely collapses and blacks out.
And this brings us to the ultimate breaking point. Sanvi wakes up, and her hands are genuinely covered in bloody wounds. Advait is desperate to just keep the wedding timeline on track. He points to her hands and says, look, it's just a severe allergic reaction to the henna. He promises some antihistamines will fix the whole shebang. But Sanvi finally gets it. She understands the ghost's true motive. She knows with terrifying certainty that this entity is actively trying to stop their wedding.
Which brings us to the climax, the wedding night. The altar is set up inside this gorgeous banquet hall at the resort. It has these massive glass windows overlooking the dark, rain-soaked mountains of Cherrapunji. But if you think about it, they are essentially trapped inside a glass box, surrounded by the exact wilderness where this demonic entity lives.
Just as the sacred ceremony kicks off, a heavy monsoon storm rolls in and completely knocks out the power. Pitch black. The only source of light left in this massive room is the flickering, dancing flame of the sacred Havan Kund, the ritual fire. It suddenly narrows the entire world down to just the couple and the priest. In that dim, shifting, orange light, Sanvi looks up and she sees the ultimate nightmare. The ghostly bride, wearing her blood-red dress, has joined them right at the altar. She is sitting directly behind Advait in the pitch dark, with her hands wrapped around him. And the most terrifying part of all this, Advait has absolutely no idea there's a ghost sitting inches behind him.
The priest tells Advait it's time to apply the vermilion to Sanvi's forehead, which is the final step to officially seal the marriage, but Advait doesn't move. The entity exerts her full power and physically freezes him. He is totally paralyzed. He literally cannot lift his hand to complete the ritual. The ghost is right there, enforcing her will, actively stopping the marriage from happening in real time.
Then, all hell breaks loose. The barrier between the safe interior and the deadly storm outside is destroyed. Those large glass windows of the banquet hall violently shatter inward, one by one. The freezing storm rushes into the room. And in the very center of this absolute chaos, Advait's body starts to convulse violently, as if he's having a massive seizure.
The ghost finally drops the illusion. She steps forward and reveals her true face to every single person in that room. It's just cut, wounded, mutilated flesh and eyes that are deep, glowing blood red. It's a manifestation of pure trauma and rage. She's no longer just hiding in the shadows or hovering in the periphery of Sanvi's vision. She wants everyone to see her. In a breathless, incredibly brutal climax, the ghost takes her revenge. She grabs Advait and violently snaps his neck, killing him instantly right in front of his screaming bride and family. Then, moving with this insane supernatural speed, she grabs Sanvi, drags her to the shattered window, and throws them both out into the pitch-black, rainy abyss of the mountain gorge.
So, in the horrific aftermath, the entire resort is in mourning, and it is only then, when it's way too late, that a local village elder comes forward to explain the chilling rules of this urban legend. The resort owners who were new to the area had completely ignored the local folklore. And the rules of the mountain bride were simple. Rule 1, she haunts that specific mountain slope. Rule 2, she will actively sabotage and stop any weddings. And Rule 3, if you stubbornly push through and actually reach the altar, she takes your life.
But why? Well, the origin of her relentless rage dates back years before that resort was even built. A young woman used to live on that very slope, and on her actual wedding day, her new husband violently pushed her off the cliff into the gorge. She was brutally murdered on the day she was supposed to be married. That betrayal forever tethered her vengeful spirit to that exact location, making her eternally punish any couple trying to experience the joy that was violently stolen from her.
The nightmare ends with a genuinely chilling final detail. For 2 whole weeks, search parties scoured the mountainside. When they finally found Sanvi's body deep in the forest at the bottom of the gorge, the cause of death wasn't the massive fall. She had been strangled to death. And the murder weapon? Her own Mangal Sutra. The sacred wedding necklace that was meant to symbolize eternal union and protection was what took her life.
It's a devastatingly ironic and terrifying conclusion, right? So I'll leave you with this haunting question as we wrap up today's explainer. We've just seen how ignoring the warning signs and trying to rationalize the completely irrational can lead to a literal nightmare. Next time you're traveling through winding mountain roads in the pouring rain, who is sitting in your back seat? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious and please stay safe.